long-term impact for their happiness and health. Therefore, investing time in the most important people in your life is a top priority because of the impact it can have on their future as well as yours. On the other hand, watching television, reading the newspaper, surfing the internet, or going out to lunch with your friends are activities of low priority because they have little or no potential impact in the long term. Keep asking yourself, what are the possible consequences of doing or not doing this particular task? What are the consequences of engaging in this particular activity? If it can have significant consequences, it should be at the top of your list. Engaging in this activity should be a far better use of time than most of the other things that you can do. An important part of setting priorities is the practice of creative procrastination. The fact is that everyone procrastinates. Everyone has too much to do and too little time. In one study, the researchers concluded that on average, executives have 300 to 400 hours of projects, responsibilities, and reading materials stacked up that they've not been able to get to, but which they hope to get through in the future. Because you cannot do everything, you have to procrastinate on many things, if not most things. Creative procrastination requires that you deliberately decide at a conscious level the items that you're going to put off doing so that you have more time to do those things that can really make a difference in your life. Apply the 80-20 rule to procrastination. Resolve to procrastinate on the 80% of tasks that are of low value so that you can dedicate the limited amount of time you have to those 20% of tasks that have the highest value. In terms of value and return on time invested, ROTI, if you have a list of 10 tasks to complete, 2 of those tasks will be worth more than all the others put together. This means that each of those tasks will be worth at least 5 times more, or will give you a 500% return on time invested over doing any of the other 8 tasks on your list, which are of low or no value. Focusing on these 2 tasks will give you the highest payoff possible for the investment of your time. It's been said that effectiveness is doing the right things, and efficiency is doing things right. The difference between leaders and managers is that leaders do the right things, and managers simply do things right. In setting priorities, you must focus on doing the right thing rather than on simply doing things right. As a knowledge worker, according to Peter Drucker, your first job is to decide what is to be done. The questions of how and when only come later. Remember, if it's not worth doing, it's not worth doing right. An important part of setting and working on priorities is for you to set posteriorities as well. A priority is something that you do more of and sooner. A posteriority is something that you do less of and later, if at all. Setting priorities means starting something and completing it as quickly as possible. Setting posteriorities means stopping something or even discontinuing an activity altogether. Since you can only do one thing at a time, and you cannot do everything that you have to do, one of the questions you ask at the beginning of each day and each week is, what am I going to stop doing? What are you going to cut out? What are you going to eliminate? What activities are you going to delete? What are you doing today that, knowing what you now know, you wouldn't start up again today if you had to do it over? The fact is that you can only get control of your time to the degree to which you stop doing things that you are doing today. You cannot simply find ways to do more things, to work longer and harder hours. Instead, you have to stand back and look at your life and work objectively and ask, what am I going to stop doing so that I have enough time to do the most important things in my life and work? Before you start a new task, remember that your dance card is full. You are already overwhelmed with work. You have no spare time. You are subject to the law of the excluded alternative, which says, doing one thing means not doing something else. Before you commit to a new task or job, you must think through and decide upon the things that you are not going to do right now, or that you are going to eliminate altogether. You must decide how and in what way you are going to defer, delay, or delegate certain tasks on your work list if you are to free up enough time to do other tasks that are more important. Getting into a new task means getting out of an old task. Picking up something that you haven't done requires putting down something that you are already working on. The very act of thinking through what you are going to stop doing is a tremendous help in setting accurate priorities before you begin. Practice the ABCDE method. One of the most helpful ways for you to organize your tasks by priority is for you to use the ABCDE method. This requires that you review your list of daily activities before you begin. You then place one of these letters in front of each activity. Organize your tasks in terms of potential consequences. Your A list. An A task is something that you must do. It is very important. There are serious consequences for not doing it. Place an A next to every item on your work list that is urgent and important and has serious consequences for completion or non-completion. If you have several A tasks, organize them by importance by putting A1, A2, A3, and so on next to each item. When you begin work, you always start on your A1 task. This is your top priority. A B task is something that you should do. There are mild consequences for doing it or failing to do it. The rule is that you should never do a B task when there is an A task left undone. B tasks may be getting back to a coworker with the answer to a question or replying to correspondence. Your C list. These are things that would be nice to do, but they are definitely not as important as A or B tasks. There are no consequences for doing them or not doing them. Reading the paper or going out for lunch fall neatly into the C category.